Squirrel and Dumplings. Somewhere along the way, somebody put a .410 rifle in my hands, and I might have shot a couple of squirrels. But as I've said before, hunting was never really my thing. Unless it's a fish and I've got a pre-cocked speargun in my hands, I'd just as soon someone bring me a mess of venison or wild turkey or even squirrel already dead, and I'll clean it and cook it and eat it and or serve it. That said, I love nature and I love traipsing around the woods. So when grown up Glenda invited her teenage sister Sandy and me to go squirrel hunting with her, we said okay. Glenda, who was an excellent hunter, soon got tired of our talking and giggling and shuffling our feet through the leaves. We were scaring off all the squirrels. She had already killed 2, but needed more for her broth to make squirrel and dumplings. Glenda left her 2 dead squirrels with us and said, "You 2 stay right here and be quiet, and I'll be back in about half an hour." She laid the squirrels next to us and told us not to let the ants get them. We watched as she stepped off quietly into the woods, and soon we began to hear rifle shots here and there. Glenda was having much more success with us alone. Sandy and I sat on a couple of stumps in the shady oak hammock and talked about who knows what, and waited for Glenda to return. Time passed and boredom set in. It wasn't long before, sure enough, ants came after the squirrels. So we put them up in a twisted lighter knot laying next to us. You know, every lighter knot is different. And the 2 of us teenage idiots noticed that this piece looked a lot like a curved, modern-looking couch. So one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we had those 2 dead squirrels set up, lounging on that couch. One was laying down with his feet propped up, and the other was sitting upright with his legs crossed. Rigor mortis had begun to set in, and they were easy to position and stayed in place. When I added a cigarette to one of their little paws, so he was holding it between his 2 tiny fingers, well, that's about the time Glenda returned, saw our little setup, and all hell broke loose. She didn't yell at us or anything, but she was very unhappy and disapproving about our disrespect, the disrespect we were showing for her kill. "It's not right," she said. We followed her back to the camp, and then we had to watch and learn as she strung up those poor squirrels by their back legs and cut their scent glands out before she skinned them. Squirrel and dumplings. There's nothing like it. The heads are the best. 30 years later, when Rod and I first watched the TV show Mad Men, when I saw that classic Don Draper silhouette of him sitting on the couch, his legs crossed, and that cigarette hanging out of his hand, all I could think about was that squirrel and his pups. Squirrel and dumplings.